Hey, it's Thursday Thoughts, and I have the privilege of being here with Heidi Hill, the CEO and director here at Birth Choice. And it's so exciting to be here because last time you walked me through these facilities, it was all under construction.
It was.
And you were just telling me the vision of what it was going to be. And it's so exciting to come here and kind of get an update. Our church, the Father's House, just finished a change drive to kind of help support and partner with what you guys are doing here. And I thought if there was any week when we could use some actual boots on the ground stories to cut through the noise, it would be this week following the Roe V. Wade decision. We know that that didn't cancel abortion in our country, just pushed the decision back to our states.
Right.
And yet in states like California, that didn't actually make your job easier, right?
It did not.
So things are kind of heating up here, and I want to kind of get away just for a moment for our talk this morning, for those who are watching here, get away from the rhetoric on both sides,
Right.
and just get back to what Birth Choice is here for, which is the person.
Yes.
Tell us about the woman that comes in here. Sadly, more often than not, without the man that got them in the situation with an unwanted pregnancy.
Sure.
Walk us through what happens.
Okay, well, typically a woman will do a Google search and look up either pregnancy termination or abortion or something like that. And so that very first thing, having the proper ads for Google is so important for women. First of all, to even be able to find us, and it's going to become more difficult even in the future.
Okay.
So then she calls. Okay, so the first voice that she hears is going to be critical in helping her to feel comfortable and helping to kind of cut through some of the fear that she might be experiencing so that she is willing to come in. About 50%, there's a huge trickle down from the first click, and then half of those will maybe call, and then half of those will show up for their appointment, and then we see from there. So that first voice on the phone, super important to feel compassion.
I just met some of them out there, right?
Yeah. And they're amazing at what they do because quite often you hear somebody that's very clinical on the phone who's just there to make the appointment. We're there actually to meet her right then in that moment.
Right.
Even if she never makes an appointment, we might get enough of her story on the phone to be able to follow up with her. We can say, can we call you again later, regardless of.
Wow.
And, yes. Wow. To be able to even do that. So the first thing is to just kind of get basic information. Sometimes they want to talk right away. If they're crying, obviously, we're going to need to get a little bit more. But to have her come in for the appointment, which is the best thing, okay? And then if she does, then she will arrive. Right now, it's on her mobile unit downstairs.
Right.
Okay? Because our facility right now, we are waiting. Sorry. Right now we're waiting for our licensing to take place.
Okay.
So paperwork has been submitted to the state, and now we wait. So right now the woman would come and she would arrive at the mobile unit where our team with our nurse and our client advocate would meet
and
with
I got
her.
to meet them as well. Amazing women.
And pray over our mobile unit, which is awesome. So they would meet her down there, and then they would take her on, and basically that is our medical office at this point, medical office on wheels. And so during that time, the client advocate is going to just kind of check in with her. How do you feel about being here? Why are you here? What are your challenges that you're facing? How can we be of help? And then she's passed off to the nurse, who then will determine with a pregnancy test whether or not it's still a positive test. And then provided that all of the criteria are met, then she would receive an ultrasound. We don't make a diagnosis, only a doctor can do that.
Okay.
So those ultrasounds are then sent to a radiology group and are viewed by a doctor who makes the determination as to whether or not she's pregnant or not. We can't even say, are you pregnant? Positive pregnancy test. We see all of the things that we need to see on an ultrasound, but we are not doctors, and so and even our nurse trained in ultrasound cannot say yes, you have a viable pregnancy, or no. Only the doctor can do that. once that's made, then she will follow up with a phone call from them later. And we usually get the results between 12 and 24 hours later. So once she finishes with a nurse, she gets discharge papers, and then she goes back to the client advocate, who then does any follow-up with her. So if her challenge, like, it might be to enroll her in an Earn While You Learn program.
Okay.
It might be to talk to her about the conversation she needs to have with the boyfriend or the parent.
Right.
Any of those types of things that we can help her with. We usually, the gals will always follow up with a phone call, depending on the severity of her situation. If she's homeless, if she's needing drug rehab, any of those kinds of things, they immediately go into problem solving mode of how can we find the resources within the community to meet her needs.
Right.
So if she's pregnant and she's saying, I'm on drugs and I can't have a baby because I'm on drugs. Well, then we have had tremendous success. We have a facility that we send them to that specifically deals with women who are pregnant to help them safely get off drugs and then go on to be able to parent their children if they so desire, or place them for adoption. And we have had some of our moms who, like, their babies initially maybe will go into foster care while they're finishing their process.
Yeah.
And they've decided to, because and to me, this is a very loving choice to say, they have a home, they have loving people who have been caring for them as foster parents, and what's best for my baby is that these people continue to parent. So they will do that too. So just depending on their need, we want to just facilitate whatever that process is.
Yeah.
And then follow up with her throughout her pregnancy to make sure that she's getting the care that she needs, and that all of those things are being taken care of.
And I saw, like, even walking in here, I saw a woman looking at a whole room filled with clothes for the woman that decided to keep their child, and diapers and goods, right?
Yes.
All of those. I love that holistic approach, because you're not judging the woman, you're not condemning them, you're not even telling them what to choose.
Right.
You're just giving them a different perspective. And how important is it, for those who might not know, for a woman to have an ultrasound? What difference does that make in them choosing to keep the child?
It's huge, because the rhetoric that they're hearing is that it's a clump of cells. I mean, if you can imagine, it's not a baby.
Yeah.
Even if it's a baby, it's your life or theirs, and
right. And what kind of life are they going to have?
Right.
So on
what
all of
kind
that.
of life?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of denial that's being taken place about what, like, if I don't see it, it's not real. And so for her to be able to make that connection to a real beating heart, a baby with arms and legs moving around in her womb and everything, can make all of the difference. Because now it's not just theoretically, I'm denying what I know in my heart to be real. I'm choosing to leave this lie.
Right,
basically.
right.
It now becomes a reality for her. So making that connection is huge. It's heartbreaking, though, because sometimes women who are in those situations, that even with seeing their baby, they just can't make that step to choose life. And we feel for her.
Right.
We feel for her because we know that burden is going to be great. But our job is to love that mother no matter what she chooses, and to be here for her even in the aftermath.
And see, that's what I love, and I'm so grateful that you've taken that couple minutes to talk to us, because my fear in the middle of us rejoicing in the turning over of Roe V. Wade and all the lives that's going to save, is my fear that the Christians who have been rejoicing aren't thinking about the mom in crisis, how this is making them feel, the fear-mongering going on in our media that's saying, now you have no choice.
Right.
And even in your name, birth choice, there are actual choices towards life, away from death, and you're meeting them right where they're at.
Yes.
And so that I would just caution everyone who's watching this to consider your response, because we're in California. God's called us here for such a time as this.
Yes.
And according to stats, most of our neighbors, friends, coworkers, even family members feel that what many of us consider to be a wonderful thing is the worst possible thing to happen with the overturning of Roe v. Wade. And this actually gives us an opportunity to do what you guys are doing, which is to listen, to love, to learn, and to be able to reach people right where they're at. So birth choice really is a bridge And I
Yes.
love that
Yes.
about this group. In fact, what's this room going to be right here? What's this room?
And this room is going to be a treatment room. So as you can see, we have, this is just the cart for our laptop ultrasound that can be placed on here. So eventually what will happen is, because right now some of our equipment is on order, but we have a treatment table coming, and then we'll have our monitors that are going to be put up. Some of our blinds are still, some of them are on back order.
Yeah.
But anyways, this will be a treatment room, one of two that we will have. And I love what you said about, like listening and determining what women want, because the vision for Birth Choice in creating this space was to, because we have a lab as well, is to think about what else will women need? Where
Right,
else can
right.
we serve? So, it has to fall within our mission, of course, but we always want to have in the back of our mind that if we are able, and some of that requires certain staffing, like a nurse practitioner or a physician's assistant, to be able to provide additional care and oversight. We have a medical director, but he's not on site. He oversees the whole operation in
Yes.
our policies and procedures, and as a referral for us if we have a question. But he's not in the day-to-day operations like our nurses are. And so having a nurse practitioner would enable us to maybe do blood draws, or to take it to STD testing.
So
or
we need to pray one in.
we need to pray one
Okay.
in, yes.
All right. If you're out there.
Absolutely, yes.
And
Nurse practitioner.
I'll put information below on how they can get in contact
Okay,
with
great.
you if you want to support what it is that they were doing. We want to be a part of that. When you and I
Yes.
first met, you told me the extraordinary story about how this used to be an abortion clinic.
Yes, if you live in the San Marcos area, Dr. Kung was an abortion doctor who was here for many, many years, and actually this very office was his original office when he first opened his practice, and our founder would pray in the parking lot in the
Right.
back of this building for a solution to end, and the Lord brought us back during
Wow.
the pandemic and to this very office to reclaim it for his purposes, for good and for life.
Yeah, so that's a God-sized prayer. I want to invite you to join us in those God-sized prayers. We've been doing this Noon in June prayer challenge. Well, at noon, we pray for our next generation, including the
Yes.
unborn that are soon to be born. And this is what prayers can do, you guys. I just want to thank you for that, because in the same way where God took a place that was used for death and now uses it to bring life,
Yes.
God wants to do that in California. Don't go running out of California. This is our assignment. This is where He's called us to be. If God could do that in this clinic, He can do that in all the places where you and I have influence as people who love people with the love of God right where they're at. Heidi, thank you so much for your
You're
time
welcome.
today. And I'm so thankful for your perspective, what you're doing here. And we look forward to partnering with you in Birth Choice in the years to come.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. God bless you guys.
Okay, bye.